Hey everybody, welcome back to Survival Heights Season 2, my amplified hardcore single player survival series. And in the previous episode, we were working on the ocean monument, as you might remember. We got a lot of stuff done over there, and I have made some progress over there, which is how we're going to start today's episode. I want to show you all the progress I have made since the previous episode. So if we fly over here and we quickly dip into here, you might be able to see, if we fly around, that the edges, the terraforming on the edges here is pretty much all completely done. I still want to add in a little bit of like some dirt mounds on top of here and things like that. I think that would be really cool, but for the most part, this thing is pretty much done for the sides here. What we really need to do from here on out is just work on these sides here and taper these back so that we have ourselves an actual floating island, which is going to take a little bit of time. I haven't quite started on that yet, but that is one of the next projects for this. But you'll also see we have started on this, the fog effect here. There's 7 layers in total, and we're pretty much finished, I believe, or at least pretty close to being finished with this 4th level. So yeah, we're making a lot of good progress, a ton, and I mean a ton of good progress, and we're only on day 1078, so it's only been 30 or so days, I think, since the end of the previous episode, something along those lines, and we've been making pretty good progress, but obviously lots more progress to come. Either way, in today's episode, I want to take a tiny break from that ocean monument area. We'll still work on it here and there in between things, but you'll see over here, right, we have our farming village over here, and we have this huge empty space here that has been empty for so long. We have these different pathways and stuff marked out over there, but we haven't actually done anything. And that's what I want to really focus on in today's episode, because over here is supposed to be a lot of crop farms between carrots, wheat, and putting these path blocks in here as well. All kinds of stuff like that. In today's episode, I want to finally start filling this out. So without further ado, folks, I'm gonna get started. Let's get some progress. Let's get some pathways done, some farms planted, and see how much progress we can make in today's episode. Time for the first progress update. As you can see, I've started putting a little more wheat and seeds and whatnot over on this side surrounding the sheep pen. And while doing this, I've kind of realized that we can't make it too much further without having some of these pathways done, because we need these pathways done in order to figure out how far a lot of these crops are going to go. And I want to see if I want to put in some borders as well, some like stone walls and whatnot to sort of separate some of these areas if some of the crop fields are going to overlap. So I think it's time to sort of switch gears a little bit, see if we can get ourselves some pathways in, maybe some stone walls, and further divide things, and then we can get back to doing some more crop field stuff. So I'm gonna grab some materials, I'm gonna go ahead and put in some of these pathways, and hopefully it turns out pretty well. And for our second progress update of today's episode, it's been a while. And by a while, I mean about 2 months, I think, since that last progress update. So let's fly around. Let me show you guys all the things that I've done. I know, like I said, it's been a lot of time, but I've also gotten quite a bit done. So as you can see in front of me, we finished up a lot of these crop fields. I haven't really done much with these walls here. I have kind of put a few things in place here to sort of mark them out. And I did actually put some pathways down here to sort of connect everything up. But yeah, it took quite a bit of time to do this, but it's still not done, obviously. But I still wanted to show you guys what all I've done. And as you can see, everything's pretty much grown in. So all the wheat on this side, all of the carrots here, more wheat here. We have the potatoes here as well. Got a little bit of wheat over here as well. So not terrible, not a terrible placement. I'm not really sure about the wheat over here, to be quite honest with you. It's not exactly the best placement with all the cows around here jumping on it and with the crops and whatnot. But nevertheless, I think it's definitely not a bad thing in the slightest, apart from a slight annoyance. But that's all I've really done in terms of the crop fields here. Let's go over here and let's take a look at the villager trading hall actually next. So I have done some work over here as well, and I wanted to show you all what exactly I've done, starting off with this little contraption right here. Actually, we should probably sleep first. 1 second. So this contraption right here is my own sort of design, the piecemeal of a whole bunch of different things, and I've been working on it over time over the past 2 months. This is my villager, or a zombie villager purification station area. So essentially the way that this works, I think I had a manual thing like this before, but if we head over this way, you'll see I get the villagers over here. We already built this thing a few episodes ago, I believe. This is Logical Geek Boy's villager breeder design, for those who don't remember. But I take this little villager, I take one of these villagers here from this minecart here and throw him that way. So I added levers to a lot of these areas so I can sort of determine at least where these intersections are, which way the rails actually go. So this way it takes it over to the villager purification area. This way it takes it, whether the villager's coming from this way or from here, takes it down into the villager trading hall. But if we head over this way, you'll see this little area goes, it can go directly into here, which is where our zombie is that turns the villagers into zombie villagers. And the same basic cut that I had here before is already here. We just added a bit of a birch roof design, which I think complements the area pretty well. But the main area is here. So we have these 4 different stalls to hold 4 different villagers. And I added a little roof to them. I added this little roof area here as well, just because if I wanted to work with this during the daytime, if I didn't have this here, the zombie villagers were going to burn up to the sun. So I had to make sure I had this nice little roof area right here. But as you can see, there's a bunch of levers, and these levers control these intersections just like the previous intersection I was talking about. This makes it a lot easier. Instead of having to pick up and put down rails to switch direction, I can tell where the zombie should go. So if the rail is pointed this way, if there's a zombie in here or a villager in here, it can go out this way. And if the rail is the other way, a villager can ride along a minecart all the way into here to be turned into a zombie villager again to get and cured again eventually when it comes back around in order to get lower trades. So that's the goal behind that. And as you can see, there's some powered rails here, and there's also a powered rail in here. And each powered rail corresponds to a button, as you can see right here. And this button is wired to turn on that powered rail right here. This makes my life a lot easier when I'm trying to move villages around. I won't really show you the redstone. I can show you a tiny bit. I mean, there's not much you can actually see down there, but essentially it's just a repeater and then a redstone line that then goes back to where this button is. I had a little bit of trouble with it in terms of getting the redstone line to behave with me, because obviously these are very close together. So actually getting these to behave the way I wanted to was a little bit difficult because they kept intersecting one another, which is not a fun thing to have to play around with, but we did get that done. And the same thing over here as well. I think this line I ended up just basically taking that way and across that way, so it stayed out of the way of pretty much everything else. But yeah, this is our little villager zombie purification area. And then once I can use these stalls for however long I want. A lot of times it's 3, 4, 5 times I have to cure these villagers. And once those are done, they come back up this way to the villager trading hall, which I'll show you guys the progress that we've done over there. So if we make our way down the side here, down this minecart track, you already know that all these librarians have been here forever. A lot of these guys, actually, some of these guys, the top ones are okay, but some of the later ones down here, we might want to actually purify those, or turn them into zombie villagers and then purify them several times like we've done with a bunch of other ones, because I never actually did that the first time around. But if we jump down here, I don't know how much of this I've actually showed you guys, so I'll go through all of it. The librarians have 4 different levels, which you may already know. We have the farmers here. The farmers encompass 2 different levels here, so 1 level here and 1 level here. And all these guys except for the one, there's one up here, I think, that a minecart track's going into. Yeah, this guy still needs to be purified a whole bunch of times. So that is something that I'm gonna have to do in the future. That's why there's still a rail right here. But down here on the furthest level, we have cartographers. And the cartographers, the big thing that they can do is you can sell them glass panes to get emeralds. And you can buy glass from the librarians, I believe, which means you can turn glass into glass panes and make a whole bunch of emeralds off of that. So that's for that little side. So the librarians, the farmers, and the cartographers are on this side. Now if we head over to here, this is where the real fun begins. This is where my masons are, which of course I have a ton of stone from digging out the ocean monument area. So we have these masons here to trade them with, and we can trade granite, we can trade diorite, andesite, that sort of stuff. And I believe I have 3 levels. I have this little vine area right here, which I thought would be a pretty neat idea for transportation up and down, because obviously over here I can use the glass staircase, but over here I have no way of getting up and down. And this glass staircase sort of area for the rails will eventually go away. So I figured vines would make a lot of sense. We may have to sort of cut back on some of the vines because there are a lot of vines here, but it's a great way to get up and down right here. And as you can see, we have 3 levels of masons right here underneath of here. So basically we decided to go through and do all the kind of smiths. So masons is one of them. Toolsmith, we have 2 levels of toolsmiths. The big one here is the iron, a bunch of iron that we get from our iron farm. I currently have it shut off because it produces too much iron, but we can definitely get a lot of iron from there if we turn it back on as well. That was toolsmith as well. And then down here we have weaponsmith, so these can sell different weapons. They also take iron, which is why I wanted this. So 1, 2 levels of toolsmiths, which is pretty nice. But that's all we have for this site. I've been trading with these guys quite a bit. I'll show you guys my emerald stash in just a minute because I've been trading quite a bit. You can see down on my hotbar, I'm level 143. So, and the vast majority of those levels have come from actually trading with villagers. So I'll show you all that in just a minute. But over here, we are continuing with it with the armorers, and some of these armorers I really haven't traded with, but we'll need to get to at some point. I got enough where I kept their trades, and then I kind of brought these villagers down here. Hey, parkour. So we have 2 levels of armorers, I believe. Yeah, we have 2 levels, and then we move on to the clerics. And I've traded with these a little bit. I've used the zombie flesh from our mob farm, our general mob farm that we built pretty early on in the series for all of these clerics. And I have 2 levels of clerics. I have this level of clerics. You can see these guys. You can sell rotten flesh and gold. Gold, I don't think I'm going to sell yet until we get a gold farm, which hopefully will be soon if I get onto it. Who knows? But we have 2 levels of clerics right here, which is, I think, one of the more recent ones I've done. But the most recent one I've done is the Fletchers down here. I haven't completed it yet. There's going to be 2 levels of these, but I've started the Fletchers here. And the big one for these, you can sell sticks for emeralds, which is a huge trade, and a lot of people use Fletchers for that. So I think Fletchers I had to cure 5 times, clerics I had to cure 5 times. Some of the other villagers I had to cure maybe 3 times. A person by the name of Geeky Ninja over on my Twitch channel posted it did a whole bunch of research and posted an infographic over on my Discord server. For those who are interested in that, it should be over there as well if you guys want to go ahead and join that if you are interested. But it has definitely been very useful. So thank you, Geeky, if you're watching this, for that. It's been probably one of the most useful things I've ever gotten. So I very much appreciate you doing that for the community, not just my community, but the community at large. And of course, we have 2 open areas here. We're gonna do another level of Fletchers, and then down here, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do down here yet. We'll figure it out. There's a whole bunch more villagers and stuff that I need to do. We have fishermen and other ones, I think leather workers and other ones that I'm not thinking of right now that we definitely need to get to pretty dang soon. But you guys have been waiting for it, the emerald stash. Let me open up my ender chest and I'll show you all what I have. So this shulker box is all of my emeralds, almost a full 27 stacks of emerald blocks. This is how much I've been trading with these villagers and how I've gotten all the levels that I have. And it's not going to stop here. Definitely not going to stop here. I just don't have space in this shulker box to keep all of it, but I'm really happy for all this. It means we don't have to use iron for beacons if we don't want to. We can use emeralds, which I think is pretty dang cool. I'm not really sure why I didn't do villager trading as much before. It really is super useful to have all of these villagers. I don't have any in here right now because I've kind of stopped for the moment, but we'll resume it pretty quickly, hopefully this week or next week in IRL time. We'll see. But it's really useful, and I guess I've just been scared to do it, but finally I said, you know what, let's just go for it. It's a learning experience. I need to learn this because it's going to be so useful to have villagers. So yeah, we've done a lot of that. In terms of other things, there is one other thing that I've been working on over the past 2 months, and that is over here at the Ocean Monument. We've done a little bit of work over here. It's not a ton. We've done a little bit of work over here. So down here, I don't really know how much of this you guys have seen, but I'm working on the different terraforming around the Ocean Monument. We're keeping the Ocean Monument as is for now. I'm still thinking about if I want to do anything with adding different parts to it, changing it up a little bit. We still need to add the ocean, the Guardian farm to it as well. If we head down here, I have started, as you can see, digging out underneath of here because I want to have an area underneath of here that's all black glass all the way across. And I want this to be a floating island, which means we have to dig out all this area and shape it and curve it at the bottom so that it's an actual floating island and not touching the bedrock, which is pretty hard to do. So we've got a lot of this left to do. I have not worked too much on this. I kind of got bored of working on this, so that's why I went over and did a whole bunch of villager trading stuff and getting a whole bunch of villagers, since that needed to get done anyways.
So we'll get back to this at some point, but I haven't done a ton there. If we go this way, and if I sleep real quick. Speaking of this area though, we still have the furnace here. I've been trying to move a lot of this storage. Hey, floating chest. I've been trying to move a lot of this storage over here and out of the way. I want to take it all off this island, so if we head into here, I'm not entirely certain if you guys know about this, but down here I have a pretty little secret, I'm gonna put a torch in the middle. We have a little secret storage area. It doesn't look very good. It looks terrible, but it's a secret storage area where I'm going to have underground, close it up, and so it'll just hold all of my extra little bits of, diorite and andesite and all the stone I have and the cobblestone and different things like that I don't currently really have any room for. We're gonna need a much bigger storage area at some point, like a huge storage area, but I just haven't cared to get to it yet, so we'll get to it whenever we get to it, pretty much.
Anyways, I think that's all the updates I currently have. We're actually kind of on our last stack of rockets, so what I'm probably gonna do after today's episode and see if I can get some, not really AFK time, but spend some time over at the mob farm, get us some gunpowder so that we can get some more rockets and whatnot. But in terms of our objectives for today, I mean, I know it's not exactly been a lot of progress on camera, but we've gotten a good bit of crops done, and I'm pretty proud of how this is looking. I am a little skeptical of this area around here in terms of how it looks. It's very dirt-like, and I know that that's kind of what it's supposed to be, but I'm not a big fan of how much dirt there is in my view. So we may have to add some different things. We may want to put in some fencing around here for the sides of the pathways. We may just want to mix it up a little bit. That's definitely something that I want to do. I just haven't gotten around to it. It hasn't really been on my mind much. If you guys do have any suggestions for this area though, feel free to leave me a comment down below. I would love to know what ideas you have for sprucing this area up, because I think adding little details around here, different things like fences and trees and hay bales and stuff like that, may be a really good way to add some different colors to this area and not make it feel so, I don't really know how to describe it, but it just doesn't feel great to me. So if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to wrap things up here for today. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Survival Heights Season 2. I almost forgot what the name of the series was. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave me a like. If you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, everyone. I really, really appreciate your time, and I'll see you all, hopefully, in the next episode soonish. We'll see. Take care. Bye-bye.